This is today's struggle. We have our guest here, Jada, and she's a Gen Z female. Today we're going to get her perspective on things with our 21 questions. So, are you ready, Jada?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, we're going to jump right into it. So, just starting off, just tell us who you are. Just, describing your personality, how you see yourself internally versus other people.
My personality wise, I'm more of like an introvert. I'm not really social. I kind of stay to myself. Eternally, I see myself as like viewing the world differently than other people. But I feel this world as like we like spiritual beings rather than people may view it as we just human beings.
So, you feel like you're a spirit having a human experience?
Yeah, like I'm just a spirit being having a human experience.
And so after your human experience is over with,
I
what
feel
do you
like
feel like happened?
I feel like our energy or our soul finally, be free and it like transfer whatever to like to whatever you believe in. I believe in God or in heaven. You go in heaven after after our experience is over.
That's a good interesting belief in spirituality. I like it. I agree with it. I definitely agree with it. Second question: how do you view mental health in relation to the Black community? Like, is it in a good place or in a bad place? How do you feel about
As far as mental health in the Black community, I feel like mental health is bad among the Black community only because it's not really much that is talked about or it is normalized. Only because if you're having mental health, like a lot of people don't understand. They only understand the basics of it. So that you have to actually go on through it for it to really understand. But as far as like a Black woman, when a Black woman go through mental health, it's like it's normalized. But when a Black man has mental health problems, it's like, oh, there's something wrong with him. Oh, he has to suck it up and be tough. So I feel like based on society, like standards is different between men and female.
it? You know why it's more normalized amongst Black women?
Wow.
Because it shows up differently in Black women, right? Most Black women hide it well.
Yeah.
Most Black women have back pains, chest pains, body aches with it. Uh, they mask it very well, keep a smile on their face through it.
I feel like black men master very well too.
Definitely.
I feel like as far as the black man, it's not really normalized because society standard black men supposed to just not show their emotions at all. It's not normal for them to show emotions, so black men suffer more rather than a black woman. She have the necessities and the tools and the support. The black men they have to deal with it for themselves.
Studies show when do most Black people introduce mental health into their life?
Mm-hmm.
It's during a crisis.
Yep.
It's usually we end up in the hospital first
Mm-hmm.
or arrested,
Yep.
and that's when we get introduced to mental health, and
Like their
that's
breaking point.
at the breaking point. Exactly. That's a sad time to get mental health.
Yeah.
We got to be more proactive with it. As a person of color, how have you dealt with depression? If you dealt with it, and how did you heal from it?
So I was clinically diagnosed with depression back in 2020 when my grandma passed. When I first got diagnosed with it, I really didn't know how to deal with it. I thought I was losing my mind. I didn't know how to accept help. I thought other people didn't understand. But as time went on, I started having therapists. I started having medicine. At first, I didn't want to really like medicine because I thought they wouldn't help me. But eventually, when I started talking to like therapists and I started regularly taking my medicine, it kind of helped me. I started doing my inner work, working on my inner issues because depression has really stopped a lot of things in my life physically and mentally as far as like facing my fears and stuff. So like as far as like I do like journaling, I walk, um I record videos of myself on my phone anytime that I feel like I make sure that I deal with the moment, the problem within the moment instead of harvesting it and like sitting on it. Because if I harvest and sit on it, that's when the breaking point comes, and then that's when like I break down, and that's when it just like my world come crashing down. So anybody who's out there who dealing with depression, I just advise you to get help. Don't ever just sit on it, and it's okay not to be okay.
Now you say you didn't like medication at first. What was the thing about medication that bothered you?
When I first started medication, I didn't like how the effect. I was on Lexapro, and I didn't like how it made me feel. And for them, they was kind of just describing different types of medication to see how what effects it would have on me. And when they kept up in my dosage, I just felt like something was wrong with me. Every time, like doctor used to look at me, I used to go to doctors, I used to go to the psychologist, I used to go whoever I used to seek help from. They used to look at me like something was wrong with me. So I thought me being on medication that just kind of like clarify like something was wrong with me. But even if you got depression or anxiety or any type of mental health, there's nothing wrong with you. it's definitely normal to be not okay.
So you feel like you took a more holistic approach,
Yeah.
better without being on medication?
Yeah, without being medication. Then when I started medication, I was like a teenager. I was like 15, 16 years old. So
okay.
at that time, it's like mental health wasn't really like as normalized as it was now.
Okay. All right. Some people do well on medication, some people don't. It just all depends on your mental health journey, right? What was the hardest time you feel like was in your life mentally and emotionally?
The hardest time was definitely when my grandma passed. Mentally and emotionally was kind of like my world, and kind of like my world came crashing down. And at that time, COVID had happened too, so us being in quarantine didn't make it any worse. And then I was like a sophomore in high school, and I just remember I was failing school. I wasn't. I was just working. I was partaking in drugs. I was just doing stuff to help my pain, and wasn't doing nothing for me. Like it was just making me even more depressed, even more sad. And I thought it gave me that temporary fix, but it was like no permanent peace for me.
Do you remember that moment where you feel like you was at your lowest?
Yeah, ever I was at my lowest, I was like probably. Oh, my lowest always been my teenager. My teenager was my darkest years from when I was 13 all the way till I was like 19 years old. It was my darkest times because I was just so just did I didn't want to live no more. I remember going to my mom and I remember telling her like I didn't want to be here no more and I didn't want to live no more because I was just so tired mentally and physically every day getting up and struggling. Like people don't understand when you have depression, it's like everything feels like a chore. Like everything you don't have no energy for. It just feel like you have to do it, but you don't want to do it. Like you can't put yourself to do it.
You have no motivation.
No motivation.
No interest to do
Nothing.
it. You want to do it,
But
but
you can't.
just cannot
You can't
do it.
physically move your body and do it.
And I remember my lowest point in depression. I was sitting in a house years ago with the lights off, no furniture in the house, just in an empty house. And I remember thinking, this would be a fine time to check out right now. And I remember that was my lowest point. I think most people have to hit that lowest point. You got to hit that rock bottom before you go get help. Hopefully you don't get that way, but some people like myself, stubborn, you got to hit rock bottom first. And
I feel like a lot of people resort to suicide or want to take their life because it's like a permanent solution for their pain because in order for the pain to stop, they have to feel a physical pain.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. So do you feel as if your parents played a part in your struggles today in your mental health?
My parents, they definitely did play a part. As far as my son, we never had a good relationship at all. He was kind of one of my first heartbreaks.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as my mom, I feel like we had like a lot of combative years, like a year that as a teenager you like feel really misunderstood. You going back and forth with your mom, and it's like as we growing up, she don't understand like the growing pains I was feeling. It's like from her perspective, I feel like she looked at me as if I was a patient, and from my perspective, I feel like I was like her client. I feel like we didn't really understand. And it's like we were going on two different paths, and like my parents really contributed to my mental health. I feel like I didn't have nobody. I didn't have nobody to talk to. My brother wasn't really there, so I feel like I was kind of alone.
Do you feel like the absence of your father sparked a lot of your depression or anxiety?
I feel like,
or was it something that just was brought on no matter what?
I feel like it was brought on no matter what, but I feel like he triggered a lot of it at most times because it was a lot of things that he did and said that I allowed him to have power over me. When you allow a person to have power over you, it's like they control your day, they control your emotions, they control your mind. So they can say anything and I'll just slip right back into depression. Like I was just so angry for so many years at him for what he did that I couldn't even enjoy living life or enjoy what I was doing because I was just so focused on what he had did to me and how he made me feel.
Okay. And then you mentioned the back and forth and the defiance with your mother. Do you feel like some of those arguments were her trying to help you and you didn't want to hear it at the time at that age? But now when you look back, you're like, okay, I see what she's saying now.
Yeah, it was like at that time, it was like her telling me like what I should be doing. But that time I didn't want to hear it because I thought she was just trying to like talk at me and to, like tell me like how to live my life. But now looking back on it, everything that she said, she was right. Like listen to your moms because at the end of the day, she is right. Everything that she said, every advice that she give you, she's never gonna steer you wrong. But I feel like it was just sometimes at that moment it was just the approach at the time. But at that time, I didn't want her like to be, you know, what I'm saying, like a client to me. I just want her to be my mom. Like I just wanted the comfort. I just wanted the love. Like at that time.
Yeah, I think a lot of times we can, well, not a lot of times, every time we can only understand from our perspective and what we lived through at that moment in time. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like sometimes I get into arguments with people, but then I remind myself this person has not lived through that certain situation yet, or they're not at a certain age yet where they can understand what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna give them grace. I ain't gonna keep arguing with them
Yeah.
because they're gonna come back and apologize to me
Yeah,
later on,
eventually.
right? um, who would you say is your biggest supporter, and how did they impact you in your life?
My biggest supporter is been my mom, but most importantly, just my whole family in general. Like having their support, like our family, we move as a unit, and like there's nothing that we do. There's always love, there's always support. They're always just showing up for us, and that's always just been the biggest part of my life for them, just showing up for me.
Okay.
And anytime, like it could be graduation, it could be anything, it could be anything small. Like they're always just coming together at the right time.
Is it times where you feel like your biggest supporter didn't show up for you, and how did that affect you?
As far as like my mom, it was times like when I was going through depression, I felt like she wasn't being there as much as I thought she could be there, and it kind of affected me in a way that I just felt so alone. Like you know, when you have depression, you just like it's like you're trapped in your own mind. It's not that they don't understand; they can only stand from their level of perspective, and I can only explain from my certain level of understanding. So it's just like when she didn't show up for me as I wanted to. Like my mom, she was never be like the affectionate person. Like she don't give hugs. She tell her like she tell her she love us, but you know it's like every now and then. So sometimes I just wanted like just a long hug from her. And sometimes it was like it was kind of like I felt like she was talking at me rather than sitting with me and helping me go through it.
Your mom is basically Medea.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Well, yep, that's what she is. Okay. How is your finances and neighborhood impacting your mental health? Like basically, the neighborhoods that you grew up in, how was it affecting you in those areas?
My hometown, my mom moved us from there when we was like 11 years old. But I'm kind of glad because it's like a town where it's so small you can wear circles around it. Like it was just somewhere that you have to grow out of. I feel like you can't really be who you want to be in a small town. And as far as like my finances now, I feel like I wouldn't be where I'm at now if it was still in my hometown because I feel like there wasn't much opportunities and space for me to grow. Right now that we stay, I feel like I'm doing way much better with my finances and for my neighborhood now. I have way more opportunities. I'm way more allowed to like be myself and make the mistakes and make the changes that I need that's necessary.
Yeah, it's hard to grow in those small towns.
Yeah.
That's why I had to get out small
Everybody's
towns.
like the same. Everybody doing the same
Yes,
thing.
and everybody in your business.
Yes.
No, nobody know how to mind their business, and they feel like they in your life, and it's like, yeah, you can't do nothing in a small town. So, yeah, definitely get out those small towns. Go see areas that you never seen before.
Spread the word out.
I've lived pretty much all over North Carolina. I spent my life different parts, and that's how you grow.
Yeah.
That's how you grow. You got to get out of your comfort zone.
Meet new people, new experiences.
Right. How comfortable do you get in romantic relationships? Are you an open book? Do you feel vulnerable? Are you closed off? How do you feel whenever you get in those?
In romantic relationships, in the beginning, I'm very closed off only because with me suffering from mental illness, I feel like sometimes it can be a burden on somebody else. And I feel like you can't really be as open as nowadays, like the romantic, you can't be as open as you want to because people can use it against you. So I feel like as more as I started to get to know the person, the more I started to trust the person, that's when I can be comfortable enough, like, to open up and tell them about. I still kind of put up a wall a little bit because I feel like you can't fully, truly trust a person until you actually like know them within like 6 months to a year.
Okay, so you're not fast or quick to fall in
Yeah,
love at all.
I'm not fast. I'm not quick. And at this point in my life, I just feel like I'm in this season where God just placed me in like His love is not for me. I'm in isolation. I'm just working on me and bettering my mental health. So.
All right, that's a good place to be. Do you feel when you feel like you're being vulnerable with somebody? Do you feel like that's a weakness or strength?
I feel like it could be both, but I feel like it's a weakness depending on the person, it could be a weakness because, like I said, they can use it against you. Or I feel like if you open up too much, I go based off people's reactions and what they say. So if I'm telling you like about my life, or I'm telling you about something that's going on in my head, and you don't react or you don't respond the way I expect, so now I'm kind of disappointed because you didn't live up to my like expectations. It can be a strength because it can bring like y'all two better together. Y'all can get to know each other. It can grow y'all bond.
I asked that question because most people feel like how you feel at first. Your first reaction is a weakness, right?
Yeah.
I don't think vulnerability is ever a weakness because it's based off of how strong you are with expressing yourself and expressing your emotions, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you're weak in that area, you're going to be closed off. You can't express yourself in a correct way. But when you're strong in that area, you're able to just tell people how you feel, get it off your chest, and move forward. And that's a real vulnerable place that you're coming from to doing that now. How what other people do with that, that ain't got nothing to do with you. That's them. That's on them. That means they're a bad person, and that's something they have to deal with their energy. But the fact that you was being vulnerable, you should never punish yourself for what the other person did with that information. You see what I'm saying? That's on them. That's on their character, not on yours. Um. So, what things are you worried about the most?
Well, I have anxiety, so I tend to.
You worry about everything.
I worry about everything. Like
Everything.
something little could go wrong, and then I was like, my head is spinning in my head. Where I'm trying to do better at it, but like right now, I just be worried about like school. I'll be worrying about like money management. I be worrying about my goals, like trying to reach my goals. Like I said, I let depression kind of stop a lot of things in my life, kind of like hinder me. So now I'm trying to work on facing my fears and just doing it, even though I'm scared.
That worrying about everything, do it tire you out?
It tired me. It's like draining because like if you get in your head about one small thing, you start to overthink, and then when you overthink, it's like you start spiraling, and you get in your head, and it's just like you stop yourself, and it's like when I start overthinking, it's like my mind, your mind is never quiet. It just keeps racing and racing and racing and racing, and then you can't get no sleep, and then you get insomnia. It's like an ongoing cycle over and over and over and over and over
So
again.
how do you stop it? Since you do holistic stuff.
I stop it. Well, I stop by journaling. Now I've been praying more. I've been reading my Bible more. I've been journaling more. When I do, I know this kind of sound crazy, but when my mind do start racing, I kind of say stop, or I kind of start thinking of something else. So I start to say we're not doing that right now. Like I try to affirm myself that everything is okay, and despite what you're thinking, because you don't have to think on every thought that comes to your mind. Every thought that comes to your mind is not yours, so you don't have to think on it.
That's good that you kind of like commanding yourself,
Yeah.
willing yourself out of it. I feel you. All right. All right. If you can change one thing about your life to make it better, what would you change and why?
I would change the fear that I have of the unknown, only because I let so many things hinder me, and I let my fear stop me. That now I would just change that. I would just do it. Just go out and do it. Despite, don't let no outside distraction. Don't let nobody stop you from your goals and what you want to do. Don't let nobody talk you. I let a lot of people talk me out of my goals. A lot of people talk me out of my dreams, and I let fear just stop me. I let myself get in my mind, and then you are your worst enemy. You're your worst enemy. It's like when you have anxiety, you have mental health. It's like the battle of your mind. Don't ever let your mind stop you from your purpose.
Yeah. You to get to the other side to success, you have to go through fear, right?
Yeah.
You have to conquer fear. And a lot of times people fears and failing. You
Mhm.
gotta get that out your head. You're gonna fail. So whatever you think about doing right now in your head, and I don't know, just go ahead and get that out of the way. You're gonna fail. You're probably gonna fail one, two, three, four, five, six, 7 times. You think this is the first time I've done something with my business? I failed already before. You're gonna fail. So just get that out of the way. Once you get that out of the way, that's half of the fear gone right there. The other half is you thinking about how you're going to get it done. Don't worry about it. Just do what you can do, and everything will start falling into place as long as you're pursuing your dreams. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Fear will hinder a lot in your life, so you have to conquer it. I like this old tale where they say, you know, the difference between bulls and cows when a storm is coming. Cows see a storm and they start running the opposite direction from the storm, right? They try to get away from the storm before it hits them. Bulls see the same storm and they run towards the storm because they understand if I go ahead and get through the storm, it's going to pass by me and I'm going to get through the other side. Bulls, cows, they're too busy running from the storm, not knowing the storm is going to catch up with them eventually anyway. So just go ahead and run through the storm. There's no need to run away from it. So keep that in your mind. All right. So, and this was an interesting question that I asked my last guest. I want to see your answer because you are the opposite of him. So, is a two-parent household important to you and why?
Two-parent household is not important to me. I didn't grow up in a two-parent household. I actually grew up in a one-parent household with a mom that was two parents. So as far as like my family, like my grandparents, they was a two-parent household, but it's not important to me. I feel like a two-parent household don't it's not really needed because it doesn't really lay a foundation for how a child grows up in the world. I feel like as long as you have like one strong parent in your life, I feel like you're gonna be okay because at the end of the day, I feel like you still, even though I feel like there's certain things that you can learn from your mom, and there's certain things that you can learn from your father, but I feel like a two-parent household doesn't shape a child's life.
So I'm going to challenge that one.
Okay.
All right. This is interesting. I like your perspective on that. Earlier, you told me about how your father being absent played a part in your depression and anxiety. Do you think if your father was there and productive in your life, a lot of that would not have happened?
I feel like if he was there, I feel like it would still be the same, just based on his how he is as a person and his personality. I feel like honestly, I feel like it would be worse if he was in the household with me and my mom.
Mm-hmm.
Just the based on like how he views life and how he treat people and how he treated me. Because I feel like even though he was absent, but he was present. But he would only pop up when he felt like he was needed, and when he did pop up, it was just like it was to tear me down. Like I used to always say, like I didn't understand how a man who helped created me to try to break me and try to tear me down. So I feel like him being there, I feel like would never made a difference.
Okay. So without having a man in the household, how do you view men?
Well, even though I didn't have a man in the house, so I still had man figures in my family. Like I had my uncle, I had my grandfather. So I view men as not as far as like authority wise, but I view men as somebody that's I feel like I wouldn't say I never needed a male figure. I feel like my brother needed more so of a male figure. But I feel like men is like key to society. And I feel like nowadays, like especially like when my mom dates and stuff, I used to like feel some type of way about it, but now like it doesn't really bother me because I feel like that's the only way to make her like for her to be happy. And I feel like men is just yeah.
Okay. Okay. Only reason why I will go against your statement is because, of course, I came from a two-parent household. Now, my father wasn't always the best father, wasn't always the best person, but something about having a man in the household, it instills accountability in the household. It instills protection. Now, not all men are good at that. Like you said, your father wasn't good at saying positive words of affirmation to you. So he could have been there and caused more damage being there talking to you that way. Um, but I'm speaking from the perspective of a loving father. So bear with me when I'm talking about. I'm talking about a loving father will instill protection over the household, uh, providing for the household, and also making sure that there's accountability there, especially for boys in the household. So when you strip the father away, you strip away those powerful characteristics that a child needs growing up because even a daughter wants to feel protected growing up. And like you said before, a father is a daughter's first love. So if a woman has a father in the household that she loved and he loved her back, that dramatically changes her mindset on life versus a woman that didn't.
Yeah.
And you probably wouldn't have had, who knows, your anxiety probably would have been less or depression because you would have grew up feeling protected, provided from your father and love. So that helps, lowers the risk for depression and anxiety in children. Just something to think about, you know. I know you feel like you came out strong and you did. You did. But there's always value in two parents households as well. Just my perspective. So, as a black person in today's society, what do you fear the most?
In today's society, as a black person, I fear for my life, especially as we all know, who's in the office right now, the many things that he have did so far within a couple of days, kind of fear for my life because I feel like our rights doesn't matter. I feel like our voice doesn't matter, and I feel like as a black person, our community is so divided that we so focused on harming each other, hurting each other, instead of uniting together and coming together as one. That they we're doing what they want us to do. Like we so focused on what's going on. We so worried about he doing this and he doing this that us coming together actually making a change. So like I said, the black person now, I feel it's like I grew up and now I'm kind of scared as becoming an adult in this world. I feel like it's not fair. I feel like the world's kind of like falling apart in front of our eyes, and it's like there's nothing that we can do to stop it.
You know, it's sad that that's starting to become a common answer on today's struggle.
Yeah.
Because you're the third person to say that.
For real.
Yes. It's sad. It's
Yeah.
sad that the common thing is for us as black folks is waking up and hoping we make it back home alive.
Yeah. Cause like now, like for instance, he pulled back the equal employment opportunity. So now, job you can go into a job can turn you down based off your skin color, like
Yeah.
based off you just being black. Like,
Yeah.
and then a whole bunch of stores like they took away the DEI program. So now a lot of black owned businesses that they were supporting in their program, they pull all their products out. It's like
Yep.
all because of our skin color, all because we're different skin colors. Like we get treated so unfair. They want to see us suffer rather than see us profits. It's like the rich gonna stay rich and the poor gonna stay poor.
Yep. You're right. You're right. But yeah, I just find that that's sad that that's a common answer.
Yeah.
Is you're not supposed to wake up worrying about, is this a day I might not make it back?
It's like even not even us being black, like us being a minority, like the Hispanics. Like, are you hear about these ICE trucks going around, taking them, deporting them back to their home country, deporting these children, going into schools? Like, it's just sad.
Yeah, it is. um, Now that is an interesting argument because you see a lot of people, especially black folks, saying they're going to stay out of this.
Mm-hmm.
And this is no disrespect to the Hispanic community, but a lot of times us black folks feel like they wasn't standing beside us in our struggles when we was telling y'all don't vote for Trump.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And now Trump is in office
Mm-hmm.
and it's getting real crazy out here for Hispanic people. And we as black folks over here looking like we told we told y'all.
Like,
And you didn't want to listen to us. Yeah. And we been through this game before. We been through the struggle, yeah, for generations. Like we trying to tell y'all, but you didn't want to listen. Like now, don't no, we can't ride with y'all now. Good luck. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, as a black person in today's society, what do you love the most?
In today's society, I love honestly, I'm just starting to love life within itself because I spent so many years letting time pass me by. I spent so many years just being isolated from the world. So now I just love going out and meeting people. Now I just love like the experience. I just love living life because it's like you're never going to ever get that time back. Like I just realized I let so many years pass me by. Now I'm 20 years old, and I remember I was like 15. So it's like time going by so fast. I just love living life.
Okay, good. That leads into our next question. What is more important to you, time or money? I'm guessing you're gonna say time.
Time, money is replaceable. You gonna touch a whole bunch of money in this lifetime, but I feel like time is just something you just never gonna get back. It's more valuable, holds more value, and it's more valuable. It's something that you're never ever gonna get back. Like I wish I could go back in time. Like I know a lot of people say I wish I could go back in time and do this, and I wish I could go back in time and do this. Just live life and just don't waste time and just be you.
Yes, time is always gonna be worth more than money. I don't care. Play with my money, just don't play with my time. Cause I'm liable to slap you in the store.
Don't crash out.
Right. I'm gonna crash out on you if you play with my time. Um, how much do you rely on spirituality or religion for mental health needs and healing?
I rely heavy on spirituality. Was a time where I had turned my back on God. A time where I was kind of angry at God for a moment, especially after my grandma died. I felt like I just wanted to know the why. I just want to know, like, saying why he had to take her at that moment. I didn't understand. So now I rely heavy on my healing. Like I pray more, I talk to him more, I get in my word more. Cause like at this time, he kind of like he always showed up for me, even at times where I didn't deserve it, even at times where I gave up on him. He just always just been there, and I just feel like you could always find comfort in God, even when you feel like He don't hear you, even when you feel like He's not around. He's always listening. God is always close to the brokenhearted.
During those times when you feel like you turn your back on him, how did you feel spiritually on the inside?
Spiritually, I felt real heavy. I feel like the world was on my shoulders. I was just doing a lot of things. I was smoking weed, heavy weed. I was partaking in, I was just doing a lot of stuff that I knew that it just wasn't feel right to my spirit. Like you just know you're doing stuff that wasn't really healing to my feel. I just felt real heavy and I felt real drained. And once you feel heavy spiritually, it starts showing physically. So physically, like I just started looking real. I used to go where people used to ask me was I tired, and I got a full night's rest because I was just doing stuff that wasn't really catering to my physical health more than just my physical, more than just my spiritual health as well.
Right, right. It definitely will have a toll on you.
Mm-hmm.
Body start breaking down,
Yep.
start getting sick,
Sick
more sick. Yeah, you would definitely depression is sinking, anxiety is spike up.
headaches, upset
Yes.
stomach.
So once your spirituality is like your foundation of everything, and once your spirit is down and broken, everything else is breaking apart.
Everything else. Like I say, my spirit was broken for a long
Yeah,
time.
and it's a horrible feeling. It's
Yeah.
almost like having a black hole inside of you, just
Yep.
like you have no life. Everything is just sunk
So yeah,
straight through.
just
That's
numb.
what it feels
It
like.
just
Numb.
just
That's what it
numb.
is.
Yeah.
Just numb all the time. That is the worst feeling about
Yeah.
depression. I tell people that
The
it's not the sadness part; it's the inability to get
feel.
fulfill anything.
That I could do something, and I
Yes.
just feel like nothing I did was ever fulfilling to me. Like nothing brought me joy, nothing made me happy. I was I got a job working in my career, which is early childhood, working with the kids, and that wasn't even making me happy. It was just nothing in my life was satisfying me. Like nothing was making me happy, and I just felt so just hopeless.
Yeah. It's the inability to feel. That is oof. That is a
Even
horrible
now, I can say I'm working on trying to connect more with my emotions. Only because, like, as far as like connecting with people, I find it really hard. Only because I'm not in tune with my emotions. So I became like, because I've been dealing with depression, I became emotionally unavailable. So I don't really. It's like I can feel a certain way, but then I don't even know if I really feel like that. Like it just varies from day to day.
Mm. Is it better to ask for permission or ask for forgiveness?
Mm, I feel like it's better to ask for forgiveness. Let's just say, because I feel like if you say in an instance where it's your parents, like you do something that you know the parents will say no, but you just want the experience of it. I feel like go out and do it, but ask for forgiveness later because they was once in your shoes, and they would want you to live your life. They just want you to be protected. So I feel like ask for forgiveness.
So, but what if if you just ask for permission, you might have just got a yes in the first place.
But if you ask permission, you would get a no. Because then if you
Okay.
get a no, then you still gonna go out and do it anyway. So
That's
you
why I
still
feel
have
like you was gonna say anyway. So
Right.
so why not ask for permission first if you're gonna do it anyway?
I don't know. I feel like me personally, I don't tend to ask for permission. I just go out and just do it.
Okay, and then if it's
If it
if
fails,
it
if it go
fails,
fails, then I
then
may ask
that's
for
when you're
it.
like,
But if
I'm
it go
sorry.
good, then okay.
But then the person is looking at you like, why you didn't just ask me in the first place?
Yeah.
So now you gotta explain that part. How important is family support to you?
Family support is very important. Like I said, my family we always been like strong will, always moved as a unit. I feel like if you don't have that family support or the foundation in your life, it can kind of affect your life in many ways because I feel like that family support kind of lays that foundation in your life. Somebody that you can lean on, somebody that you can talk to, somebody that can help you through when you're going through.
So you feel like you always had adequate family support throughout
Yeah,
your
I
life?
feel like I always had adequate family support, but I also feel like when my grandma passed, she was kind of that rock and that glue in our family. So when she passed, I feel like our family kind of went our separate ways to kind of deal with it and kind of agree with it. So I feel like now, I feel like we're trying to do better at coming together and actually understand each other. So I feel like the support is still there, but we just out here trying to navigate life within our own.
Okay. Okay. Have you ever felt that racism or discrimination played a part in causing a problem in any parts of your life? Job, financial, physical, mental health?
Yes, actually, I used to work at Krispy Kreme back in 2023, and I had this white manager that I felt like he was always nitpicking and targeting the black employees. And I feel like every time I used to come to work, he used to always have something to say, no matter what I did, no matter if I did something right, no matter I did what he said, he was to always say something to me slick, like out his mouth, like out the way, out the side of his neck. And I feel like he only did that, and I pay attention to every day. I feel like he only did that to the black employees. So at one day I just had enough of it. And then me and him used to go back and forth every single day. Every single day to up until my last day at Krispy Kreme. I could say that it was based off his skin color. And then I found out like a year later, after I had left Krispy Kreme, that he had got fired because and he was nitpicking at this black young boy that was he was a high schooler and they had opened an investigation on him.
Oh, wow. Now, was it all young people working at Christmas?
Yeah, it was like young. It was like high schooler. It was like young people, but it was also like middle age as well. But it was more young because they hired a lot of high schoolers because it was a high school nearby.
So what if the man had just a problem with young people? It wasn't just black people. It was just he didn't like young people.
Because it was like I thought it was just young people, but then we had these managers that was like older than us, older in age, and he used to always just say something about them every time. Like even when they was not around, like, he thought it was cool. Like he was one of the people that used to thought it was cool to say like certain things out the way by black people, and we supposed to be okay with it.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, this type of people always like flex their authority
Yeah.
when they get in those positions, but they, I don't think that's working out too well for them in 2025.
It is not.
So it's a hard life to live to be an open racist out here. But I love to see open races. I like my races to be open and honest about it. Don't be secretive.
Yeah.
I don't like the backdoor racism. You
Because
know,
that'd be worse.
yeah. Don't smile in my face, and then you doing something behind my back or doing passive aggressive. If
Yeah.
you just don't like black folks, just go ahead and say it. Say it. Let it be known, like so. I just know I like
So
it
I
like
know how
that.
to move.
Right. Do you think a healthy diet and exercise contribute to your mental health, and why?
It definitely do. As far as when I was going through my depression, I used to overeat only because I used to smoke. So when I used to smoke, I used to get the munchies. So it was like, as far as me being overweight, I kind of deal with a lot of body issues. A lot of growing up, like I used to always be bullied for my weight. So now, like I'm focused more on eating healthy. I've been drinking more water. I've been like exercising every 10 minutes. Like you don't have to start off at 45 minutes a day. Like just do 10 minutes, just do 5 minutes, just do 3 minutes, whatever works for you. I feel like it's helping me clear my mind. It gives me something to do. So it helps me clear my mind. It helps me like remain stable. It just helps me to focus on something other than just sitting in my mind.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, you ever be amazed with just 30 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
just 30 minutes of just being active would do to your body and mental
Or
health.
even just walking. Like sometimes I like to go
Yes.
outside and just walk.
And I think they say about 1 hour, 30 minutes to an hour of cardio is almost like taking an antidepressant.
Yeah.
So definitely physical health is linked to mental health. And if more people feel better and
Physically.
they tend to think better
Yeah.
and their mental is better. So if you feel better physically, yeah, it's definitely you're gonna feel better mentally. Um, who's the most influential person in your life growing up?
Growing up, the most influential person. Honestly, I had to say you were great growing up only because you was kind of like a role model to Jaden. Even though like even though like you was a father figure, I kind of watched you growing up. Like even though you feel like nobody watch your struggle, I watch you. Like I watch you go through your struggle, and I watch you become this like person. Then you being a nurse, and then grandma being a nurse, it was like you kind of gave me hope that even though you had bad days, or even though stuff may go wrong in life, you just had to keep going. And even though you had your way of like showing, or you had your way of telling us, it was still in a most impactful way. So
I gonna make people think I'm telling y'all to get on this show. They say y'all most influential person. Vincent said the same thing, and I think y'all. I just yeah, I got that dog in me, so
yeah.
you cannot knock me down and think I'm gonna stay there.
No matter what, you just kept going.
I'm
Like no
gonna
matter what the
keep going.
situation was.
Yeah. I still got goals for myself and my family, so somebody has to take the sacrifice,
Yeah.
right?
Somebody got to break the generational curse.
Somebody has to break the generational curse. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And I put that task on my back and ran with it. So I'm glad that y'all look up to me and hopefully y'all will take the baton from me one day because I'm getting old. Okay? I'm getting old. I'm getting tired. I got about another 30 years. I want to sit down somewhere and just sip on a drink on the patio. Okay. Last question. What are your hopes for the black and brown community?
My hopes is that I hope that we eventually come together as one. I hope that more people start coming out and using their voice. I hope that we start focusing on what's going wrong and focus on what we need to be doing. Instead of focus on getting caught up in social media and in our image, we start focus on things that really matter. I feel like we just tend to get lost in this world rather than focus on what really matters. I just hope that we just remember that even though we're going through this suffering, even though all eyes is against us, that no matter what, we can do anything, and no matter what, that we can make a change in this world.
All right. Well, thank you, Jada. That has been our episode of today's struggle from the Gen Z female. You can watch us on our YouTube channel, The Lifestyle Network, and stream on iHeartRadio, Apple, and Spotify weekly. Also, go back and watch the old episodes of Sex Mentality with my host Aisha Anderson as well when you at the Lifestyle Network YouTube channel. All right, till next time, thank y'all.